Welcome to Nerd Stalker, episode 35. I'm your host, Adolfo Fronda. We attend the Mix09 conference in Las Vegas at the Venetian and speak with the legendary Bill Buxton, principal researcher for Microsoft Research and author of this fantastic book, Sketching User Experiences. More about fostering talent and new things. And I'm sure you get this question all the time. What kind of advice can you give to new designers? We have a good design community as well. You know, these kids that are coming up and just starting now, they're interested in here. And then also touch upon what's happening in Microsoft in terms of design teams and the growth that you've seen in these user experience people.
So I'll answer the second question first.
Okay.
And what's happening at Microsoft is our hiring at all levels, at the most junior level, right up to the most senior level, in people with user experience training, has grown by about 150% over the last 2 years.
Wow.
And as a percentage of population, the growth in the UX is almost double that of people who are in the developer thing over the last couple of years. It's more or less. So there's, what I'm basically saying is that we realize that we have some catching up to do, and there's been a concerted effort to recruit. We're starting to go to design conferences. We're developing relationships with design schools. So if you're a young designer who's interested in this space and you want to make a difference, consider us. Now the second thing is, what's the advice for young designers? And I would say, so I grew up in the 60s when I was at university, and we didn't have to think about a career. You know, you just studied what you wanted. You let your curiosity drive you. And the best I can say is, do whatever you need to do so you can continue to do that. My philosophy always was, if there was a set curriculum for a certain profession, in the guidance counselor's office, I didn't do it. And it's partially because I'm very competitive, therefore I don't want to compete, right? If I followed the set curriculum, I would just be one of a whole lineup of people that I had to compete with, right? How am I going to manage there? I'd have to. If I trust my own intuition and my own curiosity about what fascinates me, and I pursue that with the passion that you can only pursue things that you love, you will become exceptional at that. Now, you will be the only one in the world who's exceptional at that, because you're the only one who actually put that funny conglomeration of skills together.
Right.
But I guarantee you, by that, first of all, recognize you'll be the best in the world at it, because you're the only one.
Right.
You'll also be the worst, but that's okay. But the other part is, there's somebody in the world who needs you, right? And it might take time. For me, it took till I was in my late 30s that actually it started to happen. But what I'm trying to say is that trust in yourself, trust in your curiosity, trust in your sense of humor, and realize there's more than money as a currency of value. It's learning, it's all these other things. And make a commitment to becoming a designer if that's what your passion is. Do not let anybody give you arguments as to why not do that. There's no better time to become a designer. And then figure out, what do you need, and then find the best people in the world to coach you and mentor. And it doesn't matter. I don't care how famous somebody is. Bang in their door, don't take no for an answer, and you can get through. So
this is an interesting path in life that you've taken as well. How did your path lead you to Microsoft?
But you mean, it's not an obvious, I went to music school, I ended up at Microsoft. And that's true. I spent 20 years
Paul Allen.
I spent 20 years as a professional musician before I started to switch over.
Right.
No, I've been working in computer graphics, doing company as an executive there, head of research, doing 3D software for animation and industrial design.
Right.
I left in the end of December 2002, wrote a book. I was thinking about what I want to do next, and I looked at where are the people I most respect in the industry in terms of the people doing innovative work, and they were at Microsoft. And I wrote to Rick Rashid, who was the head of research, and just sort of said, I'm thinking about taking a day job again and trying to think what to do next.
So you were banging on the door yourself?
No, I just wrote and said, hey, do you want to talk? And he said, yeah, why don't you come out for a while, we'll talk, and spend a week, talk to people, and did that. And then about 6 to 8 months later, I said, okay, I'm ready to start. And said, okay, well, come on out. And it was a great thing, and I haven't regretted it for a second. First, as a designer, Microsoft, why they wanted me is the same reason I wanted to go there, was they needed some help on the design. I'm just one part of it. There's lots of other people. It's not this isn't a thing about individuals. It's about the team. Then, just think if we get it right. I mean, think of the impact, right?
Right. Yeah.
And that's the part that's just like, think of the possibilities.
Yeah.
And so there's no guarantees. But even for me today, just watching some of the stuff around SketchFlow and stuff like that, and those are things that I've dreamed about, we've talked about, and I'm seeing it. Even I've only been here for 3 years, and I'm seeing the stuff that we've talked about starting to happen.
Right.
And it's like, and now I want to see, the next thing I want to see what the people who are in the audience today do with stuff like SketchFlow.
Right.
I want to come back next year, and this was nothing. I mean,
Right.
I mean, SketchFlow is great
for
me.
That is awesome.
But I'm happy with it. But it will pale in comparison.
Right. Well, that's
if we nailed it as well as I think we might have.
Yeah.
It will pale even then, and especially then. It will pale in comparison with what the people in the audience are going to do with it. And I don't even want to see that. I want to see the expression on the faces of their customers, the people who do that marvelous stuff. They get it back, right? And my biggest ambition would be in a year's time, and the same thing, Scott Guthrie would say the same thing if you asked him. Come back in a year's time, and the tools we announce today, to have people come and say, man, our company grew 100% in the last year because of what we were able to do with these technologies, right? Because we took it, we believed what you said about design, we applied it, we used the tools, and damn it, it worked.
What does your roadmap or future look like?
Well,
as much as you can share.
Well, I think I spent about, let's pretend I carved my day up into 4, and I've spent let's pretend about a quarter of my time outside the company, visiting universities and companies and stuff like that, giving conferences, doing talks, to just try and get a feeling what's out there. So I spent about a good chunk of my time, and it might be more like a third of time with the product groups, just spending time trying to find out what kind of problems they have and can I help. Sort of like an internal consultant.
Sure.
And then I spend another chunk of time evangelizing within Microsoft, just about design, helping design the culture as like, there's a bunch of us that are trying to really take the lead and that. Then I do my own research. I have a small group, and I try to lead by example, trying to do innovative technologies and product and things that can drive new types of business and new types of products. And I hope, within a year or two that you'll see some stuff that are a direct result of that. And all of these are interrelated. And my sense is that if I want to help change the culture, you're not going to do that just by being a talking head and sort of going around and ranting or jumping around, no matter how inspirational you are. If you can actually do stuff that's tangible and actually affects the business as well, that practices what you are preaching, it gives it credibility. And so you lead by example.
That's interesting. You use the phrase change the culture.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Microsoft has typically been a technology-driven culture. Developers, God bless them, are absolutely essential. Our whole history and success is based on them. And we're at a time now where they're equally essential, but they're not sufficient. And we need to augment that with, let's say, a culture where design, engineering, and business are equal partners at the table in a way interdependent where we could really make this stuff work.
Well, thanks so much for
My
your
pleasure.
time. I really appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure.
Awesome.
Nice conversation.
All right. Thanks a lot.